Hello everyone. So I think it's safe to say after having filmed a few videos in a row now that I'm back. I am coming back to BookTube after uploading very sporadically this year, and I'm really excited about that. I struggle so bad with imposter syndrome. I started thinking everyone hates me, like you guys, my own subscribers. I'm like, oh god, I don't feel welcome here anymore. I think publishers hate me, authors, and I spiral and think I'm dumb and I'm bad at what I do. This is all pointless, and I really need to like calm that part of my brain down. So here I am today, filming a June wrap up. I am really pumped about this little stack of books that I have here that I read this month, and I'm even more pumped about the books I'll be reading in July, and you won't know about those until my July TBR goes up, so subscribe if you're not. I'd love to have you here. Also, like this video if you want to, and comment down below something, because the engagement really helps me out, and I love talking to you. Yeah, I know, like typical YouTuber talk. Okay, let's get down to business and talk about what I read. Funnily enough, I enjoyed almost every book I picked up. There's actually one incredibly disappointing one, but I'll save that one for last because it's quite the controversial one. A little bit of tea spilling today. So I was very lucky to have the opportunity to read two indie books that I am going to talk about first because I desperately need to talk about them. The first being a debut from someone in our own book community who I'm very happy to call a friend. A Second Story by Jen Colligan. I hope I'm saying your name correctly, Jen. I am so sorry if I am not. Dislike this video if I did, if I pronounced it wrong. Anyways, this just released in May, and I already knew I was going to read it to support her. But it just so happened to be June, which was Pride Month, the perfect time to read this, and wow. This book, if you're looking for a cozy fantasy, this needs to be on your radar. It's very similar vibes to Legends of Lattes, but I'd argue even cozier. It's a queer seaside fantasy that reads like one big warm hug, like one bear hug. It's a shorter book, it's just under 300 pages, and we're quickly introduced to our two main characters, Ari and Finn. And they are part of a group of adventurers who were given a job by the king to hunt this notorious royal assassin called the Shade. It's friendship slash love at first sight, pretty much. We are given backstories because we experience the story through the eyes of both Ari and Finn, which I absolutely loved. I love seeing the perspectives between all the different characters. We get a developed relationship. It's all paced so freaking well, all the way up to where they retire and buy a bookstore together. My cat is hanging off the back of the staircase. If you hear that, it's like freaking Lion King over here. Okay, he's safe. Soba just like knocked him off on purpose. She's trying to kill her brother. Anyways, they buy a bookstore together that is all decrepit, and they build it up together. It's on the seaside. You kind of get this like house flipper vibe to it. I love watching house flipper shows and like playing the video game House Flipper, but you get this in a cozy fantasy form. Mwah. It is literally a slice of life from a fantasy world, particularly the happy cozy side of a fantasy. You're not getting like brutal shit. You're not getting gore and sadness and depression. I seriously couldn't recommend this book enough. It surprised me in the best ways, and it's a romance. I hate romance. If you get me to like your book where the main focus is a romance, you deserve a Nobel Prize. That being said, the fantasy elements were really fun. There's talk of wizards, magic, dragons, like Dragonborn, maybe Skyrim reference, I don't know. Taverns, barbarians, orcs, woven beasts. We get some like fight scenes. And then you get like the laid back bookstore scenes and cute, adorable animals, like a whole chapter dedicated to Sophie, the bookstore cat. I'm a cat person. Well, I like all animals, but I love cats. So like, she wrote that for me. I know she did. There was so much depth thrown in here, but it's not cluttered. It felt purposeful. And I love the setting. Honestly, a perfect summer read. I know Jen had a blast writing this, and I had a blast reading it, and I know you will too. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. It'll be linked, like all the books I read in my wrap-ups. It'll be linked down below in the description box so you can check it out. Okay, so the next indie book, the author got in touch with me and said, hey, you want to read this book? I'm like, yeah, sure. So I have The Sword of Mercy and Wrath. Okay, so this is a fantasy. It's an adult fantasy, I think. Yeah, definitely adult for sure. I don't know why I'm questioning that. But imagine the movie Sleepy Hollow with Johnny Depp. Like, that's the setting of this book. That's the vibe, because it's quite dark and atmospheric. We have two POVs. We have Tristan, a knight who is training in hopes of like upping his rank to serve a lord so he can have the status to save his mother and adopted sister Celine from their not so nice father. And then we have Celine, who is also another POV, the woman who actually graces this beautiful cover. By the way, I'm gonna put the cover for the sequel up because I freaking love it so, so much. It has like a woven werewolf thing on it, which are in this book. I if the author wants to get in touch with me again. Anyway, she has more of that like main character energy. Her story is quite a tragic one. A terrible event occurs and she is taken away to be trained as a beast hunter. So we get to experience two sides of the same coin essentially. Man, does this author know how to write about character growth, because these characters go through so much. The book's pace moves very quickly and the intense situations kept me engaged throughout. The plot also offers surprises and unexpected turns of events, and like making the story truly captivating. The novel is full of action scenes too, and they're bloody, man. They're gory, and they were so fun to read. Kept me on my toes. I love the way it ended. I definitely need to read the sequel. The author did a great job on this. I hope more people check it out because it was so badass. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. Okay, so moving on, I read The Sun and the Void. And yes, this is kind of an early review since this book doesn't release until July, so you don't have much long of a wait. I'll probably do like a better review closer to its release date, but this is an adult fantasy that is completely inspired by South American culture and folklore. And what I really, really liked about it most is the way it starts. It really sucks you in by introducing our character who's traveling through these dark woods to get to this family manor that she was invited to, family she hasn't seen in a very long time, if not at all. I can't remember that specific detail, but she's then suddenly attacked by these like really haunting sounding demons. Then she is saved by a strange group of people, and this group realizes suddenly they have like a weird connection with this girl they just saved. I found this really fun. I got super into it. The writing is truly beautiful. I compared it in my review short, like the book reads like it should be written in cursive because it all feels really fancy, and the swoops and swirls of the story like matched. That's a very weird sentence, but it just feels right to say, so I'll go with it. I loved the innocence that these two main characters had and how they are discovering this world and its really scary magic. Some characters also have like animalistic qualities to them, like tails or even antlers. In fact, one of our main characters has a tail. I enjoyed the heck out of this. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and I think you should give it a try when it comes out. It's definitely not for everyone. It's more of a slow burn plot, in my opinion, but I melted into it pretty easily. Up next, I read Savage Legion. This is the first book to a series that is now completed. The finale actually just released recently. It's an epic fantasy that follows 3 different characters living totally different lives. One is in the military, another one is dealing with like an urban social life, and the third is a clever paraplegic taken from the streets to work behind the scenes for like a shadowy organization. So we do get like a disabled character, and honestly that character was my favorite, in my opinion, the most like fun and unique storyline. So it's following these 3 perspectives, and of course they intersect in this like brutal landscape about a country that threw down its royals and replaced them with an even more like complex behemoth that runs the new country. The fight scenes are crazy. The plot is fairly complex, but like not so much that you're completely underwater and drowning with info when like big plot points happen. I found it really engaging, so diverse. There's so many women characters, which was really fun to see as a woman. I love fantasy with just women in it. There'd be less bitching. My male fan base. Woo. Okay, anyways, I'm really looking forward to reading the sequel. Oh, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, by the way. Time for the icing on the cake. Witch King is the last book that I read. I actually read it earlier in the month, but like I said, I was saving the least favorite book for last. I don't even own this book anymore because I already donated it. Oh my soul is broken. Okay, so it wasn't that bad. It's like a 2.5 out of 5 stars for me. Like there's like a morsel of enjoyment there, kind of. This is a standalone fantasy. Thank God it is. I just found this book to be as dry as the Sahara Desert. The story itself was the best part. So we have 2 different timelines, one at the height of the main character's power, and then another set after his betrayal by an unknown enemy. In theory, it should have been cool, but the way it was written, I don't know, I couldn't enjoy it like to its max. This book reminds me of why I really hated The Ruin of Kings by Jen Lyons, because there was also like a double timeline here, moving back and forth between past and present, which just only adds like another level of confusion. And no, it's not like I can't read double timelines, but it has to be like coherent, and it didn't feel like that here. I had problems remembering and deciphering between characters, locations, lore. The names never stuck, and I read the opening introduction like multiple times. And for all the time that I'd spent reading this whole book with these characters, I had no idea what they were going to do, what to think of their choices, because I didn't feel like I had a good grasp on the world at all, or whether they were like, are they still in danger? I don't know. I couldn't follow them emotionally. Does this make sense? I don't know. I was left pretty confused. That's all I'm going to say. I'm wondering what was I supposed to get out of it? Yeah, maybe Martha Wells is too smart for the world, because it felt like I read a book that was written by like an ancient alien language, and then it transcoded into English. That's what it felt like. All right, so those are all the books that I read in June. I just looked up when the last time I had like an actual monthly reading wrap-up video, other than like a recent reads video I did a few months ago where I read The Tyranny of Faith. This is my first titled reading wrap-up video this year. I am so sorry about that. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you're happy that I'm back in your subscriptions feed. Like this video if you liked. Tell me down below what you read in June. I would love to know what you read. Any good books? What was your most disappointing book? I always like the drama. Subscribe if you're not. I'd love to have you here, and until we meet again, happy reading.